if you got brain fog and you can handle caffeine, now this is not a one size fits all, Pat, but one of the things that helped me when I was doing like more of that early stage of moving oxalate, like the first even 18 months, a couple of years can be pretty miserable. It can be longer than that if you've got more oxalate in the body or you've had a harder time bringing oxalate down or you're having more difficulty with supplements. So there can be some things that throw you off. But if you can handle a little bit of caffeine, like caffeine and theanine can really help give you some of that sparkle, if you will, back to your brain so that it's actually connecting the dots. Because I really remember it was almost like there was cotton batten between my thoughts. It was like I couldn't hook them up together. And even word recall was sometimes problematic. I've told the story before. I don't know if I've told it on a Patreon live, but I was sitting in front of my daughter, who by that time was about 3.5 years old. We've been doing the diet for about a year. My brain was not a happy brain. And my poor daughter. So she's sitting at the table and I'm looking at her and I go, give me that. I'm pointing that thing in front of you. And she looks at me and she tips her head and she goes, Mama, the book? Like,
Oh, wow.
you couldn't figure out why I couldn't say book. Right? I could not get that word out of my brain. So please don't worry that these things are forever. Like, I'm here to say, I did this lowering of oxalate. Gosh, is it 17 years ago? It's like 17 years ago now, almost. Before we knew a lot that we know now. And I nosedived, so it wasn't pretty. And I, basically have had almost every symptom that you could have that it's related to oxalate. So I've done the gamut of a lot of these things. And honestly, at one point thought I had like some level of brain compromise that maybe I was set up for early Alzheimer's or something. When you can't recall simple words like book, you start to really wonder. And that's turned out not to be the case at all. So please don't be too concerned about long-term ramifications as long as we're catching it at this point. And please know that there are things that we can take that are very supportive. But for me, caffeine plus theanine, this again is one of those things they call a nootropic stack, where you're making use of a couple of nutrients. And in this case, what it does is caffeine gives you that combination of sort of increased dopamine, better energy, blah, blah, blah. But theanine helps take the spiky off it. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Caffeine energy is sometimes like this, right? You're kind of vibrating a bit too fast. It's like the nervous system's a little over rev. And theanine sort of takes all the spiky off and just gives you the energy improvement and the clarity without this irritable kind of edge that caffeine can give you. So here I am this morning. This is a Starbucks coffee, a little one, not a big one, but a smaller one. And I've had my theanine, and I normally will take some magnesium with it as well. What you're trying to do is just support a bunch of pathways where your brain can go, okay, I'm here.